Good morning. Welcome to Morning Reflections. I'm so glad that you joined us for this. And today I'd like to talk about the word obey. And as parents, we want our kids to obey us, but the Lord wants us to obey Him as well. And I want to read to you a very powerful passage. And this is from Luke chapter 6, verses 46 through 49. And Luke says, in that passage, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I tell you? Everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them," in other words, obeys them, "I will show you what he is like. He's like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when a flood arose, the stream broke against that house and could not shake it, because it had been built well. But the one who hears and does not obey the words that I tell him is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. When the stream broke against it, immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great." And this passage is talking about obeying the words of the Lord. And of course, Jesus is that rock. But obedience is so important, because you can know the Word of God, you can memorize the Word of God, you can preach the Word of God, but if you don't obey everything that the Lord tells us to do, you will fall. And so, precious ones, remember that. And then there's another passage in 1 John chapter 2 that I'd like to share with you, verses 3 to 6. "And by this we know that we have come to know him if we keep his commandments." That's obedience, isn't it? "Whoever says I know him but does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, truly the love of God is perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. Whoever says he abides in him ought to walk in the same way in which he walked," to obey him. And then in 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 14 through 16, "As obedient children," we're his children, we're his little ones. And Peter says, "As obedient children, do not be conformed to the passions of your former ignorance, but as he who called you is holy, you also must be holy in all your conduct, since it is written, 'Ye shall be holy, for I am holy.'" So, precious ones, don't just read the Word of God. Obey the Word of God. We want to be like him. How can we bring him glory if we just read it and don't obey it? So, dear ones, read the Word of God. It's so important to feed on his Word, but also to obey it. God bless you, dear ones.